Hello there. Welcome to And Just Like Crap. We got a lot to unpack. Okay, to start off with, I want to apologize for being late with this video. I don't know where you are in the world watching this, but over here, everything just froze over. And people aren't used to the roads being icy and stuff, so everything's shut down basically. No school, no no food, no stores. Everything's shut down because of all the ice. They're not used to these temperatures. I'm from Chicago. We're used to these temperatures, but over here they're not used to these temperatures. So once everything gets too cold, everything just shuts down. And so, of course, since there's no school, I've been with my son. This isn't really the kind of thing I like to talk about when my son is in the room. So that's why I took some time. But I did watch the finale. I watched it a couple times actually, and I watched a few reviews on it. Yeah, we got a lot to unpack here. Okay, I think I finally figured out the show. I think most of you did too. We know the show's about. I got a lot to say here, a lot. So I'm just gonna take my time with this one here. So it's probably gonna be a two-parter. I'm just giving you a warning right now. It's probably gonna be a two-part episode here because we got a lot to talk about here. Because we got to talk about the episode, then we got to talk about how it affects the overall series this season. Okay. And I'm hoping there's not another season. I really hoping they're not. They don't need to go there. I think this show has done more damage to the brand than anything else. I think that the fans, first of all, this show did not pick up any new viewers. Okay, there's no millennials that fucking love this show. Okay, this is not their generation. Okay, this is our generation, and they're into the other things. I don't think the characters. We got Brady, Lily, and Rose. Yeah, Rose. They're not really relatable. They don't get enough screen time, and they didn't make an impression. They didn't. They really did. I mean, we weren't seeing enough of them to know who they really are, except for fucking Rose. We saw way too much of her, but there wasn't enough of them for them to be major characters. There weren't any new characters that were important enough to be on the show. Honestly, none of the characters that we were introduced with were important enough to be on the show. Even the ones that had a lot of screen time, they had no story, they had no arc, they had nothing. They were just there to be there. It was like a check mark. Like when you're pitching a show, okay, we're gonna have any black people in there. Okay, and gay people in there? Well, of course, it's a gay show. I mean, it's for women, yes. I mean, you're not fucking fooling anybody. Okay, we live in a culture right now that we know it's coming. Okay, you fooled us like 5-6 years ago. Okay, when everything that was getting rebooted, we were excited about it. Like, oh my God, they're bringing back Ghostbusters. Oh my God, they're bringing back this. They're bringing back that. And then we finally see it, and it goes, no, they were never going to bring it back. What they wanted to do was they wanted to get you in there with the name, the brand, and then once you sit down to actually watch it, it's completely something else. That's what they did. They've been doing it a lot, actually. Like I said, Ghostbusters is a great example. We still got more coming, like the new Thor movie. That's going to be one, but we see that coming by now. But they got us with Ghostbusters, the female one. Recently, He-Man, the Masters of the Universe on Netflix. Like, oh my God, that was a bait and switch, big time. You know, so Hollywood's been doing this a lot. Okay, they've been taking everything woke. Every time you see they bring back a show. Like right now, I think there's a show called The Equalizer. Now I remember The Equalizer when I was a kid. It was about an old white guy. I think it was British, old white guy. I don't know what the fuck he did. I didn't watch the show, but I remember seeing the commercials on TV. The Equalizer. It was some old white guy, and then they brought it back with Denzel Washington in the movies. I was like, okay, so they race swapped him. Okay, I didn't see the movie anyway. And now they brought it back on TV with Queen Latifah. So it wasn't enough to make the guy black. They had to make him black and a woman too. Okay, and it's like we know what you're doing. Okay, the fans of The Equalizer. Do you really think they have anything in common with Queen Latifah? Do you really think that anybody that was a big fan of the 1980s Equalizer with the British guy wants to see Queen Latifah? No, they don't. They don't. So who messed up here? Okay, the people that made the show with Queen Latifah, or the audience that the fans of the show that didn't want to watch it. Well, the media's going to tell you it's the fans. They're all just a bunch of racist, homophobic, sexist. That's why they don't want to watch the show. Okay, not that they give us a totally fucking different product, but they called it something else. They called it something that we liked. Okay, that's what's going on here. It's been going on in Hollywood like crazy, and this is just another example of that. And unfortunately, it's not going to stop. You would think that Hollywood is about making money. I mean, it's called show business for a reason. But lately, I don't think they haven't been concerned with making money. They've been concerned with virtue signaling, with pushing their politics. And I think the tide is turning big time. And the only reason I bring this up is because this show is just infested with it. I can say this now because I've seen every episode of this season now. And that's all the show is. Okay, it's just propaganda. It's fucking Joseph Goebbels propaganda, but the other way around. Just like a lot of the shows on TV are now. I'm sorry, they are, But the problem is that we can see right through it. We see what's going on here. I think the reason we have such a community right now that's against this show, that hates this show, okay? A lot of you women out there that were big fans of the original Sex and the City, okay? A lot of you were not really fans of like Star Wars, because it's mostly, I know there's female fans. I'm not saying there's not female Star Wars fans. There are, okay? But there's a lot more male Star Wars fans, okay? Where Star Wars was like a religion to them, almost. It was like a fake religion for them, okay? They knew all the characters. They knew where they came from. They knew this. They knew that. And when we got the new Star Wars, it was just, those fans, the hardcore Star Wars fans hated it. They rejected it. This is not Star Wars. Once Disney bought it and started putting out bullshit that nobody wanted to see, we saw what they were doing. Okay, they cut off Luke's dick. They cut off Han Solo's dick. They promoted Princess Leia, but then she died in real life. Unfortunately, Carrie Fisher died in the middle of the sequel trilogy, so they couldn't use her anymore. So what did they do? They CGI'd her, and then they wrote her off on the side. It's like, so we see what they're doing. Okay, but we got really pissed. The Star Wars fans, we got really, really pissed. And you probably didn't hear so much about the movies, the new sequel trilogy movies, but I'm sure you ladies heard a lot about the backlash. It's called the fandom menace, okay, about all these people online that are just talking shit about Star Wars. I'm sure you didn't give a shit, okay? But if you had dived into this, you would have seen that these Star Wars fans, we weren't angry people. Well, we were angry, but we weren't bad people. Okay, we weren't racist. We weren't homophobics. We weren't none of that. If you looked into it, you would have seen what we were. It was, we loved Star Wars so much. To see Disney treat Star Wars this way, to turn it into something that it never was. Okay, to promote an agenda, a political agenda. That angered us so bad. It's like stealing. It's like kidnapping our kid. And yes, because of the internet, yes, we have a voice now and we can say something about it. And that's what we were doing. That's why we were condemning the new movies. We're condemning Rian Johnson and this fucking character called Rey Skywalker. Fuck you, you're not Rey Skywalker. Okay, so we got really angry. We got really upset, and you probably heard about it. I'm sure you didn't give a shit, but maybe your boyfriend mentioned it, or your husband mentioned it or something, I'm sure you didn't give a shit, ladies. But those of us fans that loved Star Wars, that grew up with it, we knew these characters were close to us, they were like almost like family, even though they were fictional characters, we grew up with them, and to see them treat these characters this way, it bothered us. We realized these people, the people that own Star Wars now, did not care about Star Wars. All they cared about getting you in the theater, so they called it Star Wars, but they were really just giving you something else, okay, something that they wanted you to see, and they wanted you to like it. Because if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. Okay? And that's all it was. They had no story. They had no plan. They started off, something, and then they didn't continue it. And then these characters, we were just supposed to forget about them like they never existed. There was no story arc here. They didn't plan anything. They didn't have any plans for a 3-part movie. They just made it up as they went along, and you could totally tell that. So there was no structure here. So it was a disaster. It was a failure in many, many different levels. Okay? And that's what happened to Star Wars. And the reason I'm bringing up Star Wars is because that's what's happening, ladies, right now to our show, Sex and the City. That's what happened. The exact same thing happened, okay? All this anger and hate that we have online right now for this new show is because you took away our kid. You stole our kid. You kidnapped our kid. Okay, that's what they did. Okay, they took away our characters. Okay, they demeaned them. They put them in absurd situations. They try to promote other characters. They were doing the blue check mark, the check mark box, the diversity check mark. But they did nothing with these characters. It would have been something if they'd introduced these characters and all of a sudden, boom, they're like main characters on the show now. They're one of the girls, because they're already down one. So you could have got another female to easily slip into, maybe not easily, but that could have been the story arc. Okay, getting a new girl to be part of the four now, to join the other three and now become four. You could have done that. They had plenty of opportunities to do that. They didn't do that. None of these new characters had any development. Nothing happened to them. Nothing happened with this show. Nothing happened with our characters, with our main characters. Nothing important. Nothing major. Nobody grew. Nobody changed. Nobody learned a hard life lesson. Even in the original Sex and the City, I'm rewatching the old episodes. The characters changed, even if it was just a little bit. But the characters changed. Like Carrie in the first season, she started with dating a new guy, Big, and then it ends. Like when Miranda met Steve, that was a whole season right there. And then they break up. That's another season. And they get back together. That's another season. Okay, so the point is the characters start somewhere, and by the end of the season, they end up somewhere else. Even Samantha, remember when she had cancer and all that? Okay, so, Charlotte, remember when she married her first husband? We got to see all of that. Then she divorced him, and then, so the characters had arcs. They started off one place, and they ended up somewhere else every season, okay? So they weren't the same person they were in the first episode, okay, of that season. Okay, they changed. Like in Carrie and Aiden, for example. That was a whole season right there, with this guy. That wasn't Big, So, these characters had growth, okay? They learned things, okay? So they don't necessarily have to go back to the way they used to be. And superficially they can, but they learn something, Like Carrie had to go through all these different trials before she realized that Big was the one for her. She even had to date that fucking Russian guy. Come on, how stupid was that? Yeah, I know I know what's his name is, I know he's Russian in real life. He was playing the French guy, Brezhnikov. Okay, but these characters had no arcs. Okay, they had no going. Okay, nothing had changed from the beginning to the end. Okay, we were introduced to a character, and then we saw them again every once in a while, superficially, just to say something or to show up at a party or to pass along some information, and that's it. We don't see them again. We don't know what happens to them. They don't affect anyone else. I don't remember the original Sex and the City being like that. Yeah, I know. Like I said, I'm rewatching the first season. I know, like someone like Stanford, for example, he would show up in a lot of episodes, but his screen time was very limited. He would talk about his life, then he'd ask Carrie about her life, and then that was it. Sometimes they focused on him, but not too much. So it wasn't like we needed to see him all the time. Like he needed to sit at the table with the four girls all the time. We didn't. Okay. But he was just a side character, okay? He didn't get his own time. You never had Stanford by himself, really, on his own, doing his own thing, his own story arc, because he was a side character. He wasn't a main character. We've got side characters here that are treated like main characters, but yet they have no story. They have nothing going on with them. There's nothing. There's no conclusion to them. There's no progression for them. They're just there to be there. They're just there so that a character can have someone to talk to. But the character doesn't actually do anything. Nothing important. Nothing life-changing. No lessons learned. And that's what this whole show's been about. It's been about, and I'm giving you the nice speech right now, okay? I'm going to go into the bad one later, all right? Trust me, I got a lot to say. But, yeah, we're here to review this episode, so I'm going to get started here. Okay, so, and just like that, the last episode, hopefully the last. If there's some way they can retcon all of this so that it never happened, that would be awesome. Because you got to remember, this ain't the first spinoff of Sex and the City. You got to remember the teenage Sex and the City? Remember that one? Where they were teenagers? Where you had like these high school girls having a crazy sex even though they were underage. Remember that show? Yeah. Okay, yeah. No wonder it got pulled. But that was a different time when that show came out. But I never watched it. I never watched that show. But they spun off Sex and the City like how like Samantha and Miranda Samantha and Carrie first met, when they were kids, I never saw the show. Maybe you saw the show. Maybe you can tell me about it. Was it any good? It couldn't have been because it didn't last very long. But I just thought the whole idea about promoting, these preteens having sex was just like, oh, this is wrong on all sorts of levels. I mean, you can have adult women having sex, that's fine, but come on. You want like teenagers having sex, Oh, but it's realistic. Well, it might be realistic. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's something you want to promote. You know, because you can promote teenage sex all you want, but if you don't promote the consequences of it too, then what's the point? Kids are all gonna think, oh yeah, teenage sex is just fucking hot people. That's all it's all about. Yeah. Nothing about the STDs or the pregnancies or the ruined relationships or getting kicked out of the house or single motherhood or any of that shit. No, that's not gonna be, because that's not sexy. You see what I mean? All right, but anyway, I digress. Let's get back. Okay, yes, I'm gonna be drinking my Monsters because, like I said, I got a lot to say here. All right, let's begin. Okay, so we start off with breakup stories. Okay, they're doing the podcast. You got Jackie there. He's the little Asian guy with the beer belly who jerks off everywhere. Apparently, he's straight, but he ain't fooling me. And of course, Shay's there, and Carrie. They're all talking about worst breakups. And of course, Carrie drops like, "Well, my breakup trumps all of you. My husband died." And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that is a bad breakup," And then Shay says some stupid shit like, "Yeah, well, my ex dumped me on FaceTime. She called it two FaceTime. Hey, listen, dude. Yes, people, we dump each other on FaceTime. Yeah, I got dumped on FaceTime. How fucked up is that? Yeah. At least it wasn't a post-it note, right? I mean, just do it the old school way. Just ghost them, That's what I would have done. But oh well. So, yeah, I mean, it's hookup culture. This is what happens. I wouldn't call it, we call it relationships, but it's really just hookup culture. That's all it is. You can disagree with me, but I'm right. Okay, so Carrie decides that she's going to go on a date with Peter. Remember him? I guess the college professor, the mathematician professor. Okay, both the last 2 dates went terrible. The first time they dated, they just threw up on each other. The second time, she stood him up literally, like he went all the way to the restaurant, and she was there waiting for him just to tell him that, hey, I'm standing you up, I can't see you, And now they're going on and he tells her, of course, like, best rejection ever. Okay, you're a fag. Sorry I used that word, but I'm sorry. I'm getting pissed now. Okay, I'm getting pissed at the way they're portraying straight guys. Okay, and yeah, this is another example. Okay, best rejection. No guy would ever say that. I talked about that the last time I reviewed that episode. And now they're on their third date. We don't know what happens. We never saw them interact again. We just see them walk. We just see him walking her home, and they're talking about superficial stuff, And it's just very cringy. It's like the kind of stuff you don't really talk about. Like, based on their conversation, he tells her, "Hey, I got a confession to make. I Googled you." Like, why would you tell her that? Like that's something you do on your own. That's not something you share. Like the only reason I can think of that he would tell her that is because he ran out of things to say. And we find out that she Googled him too. Okay, and they start making these stupid little jokes about like how this date could have been a disaster. Yeah, well, the date ain't over yet. These are the kind of jokes you make when you're on a date. Okay, when the past 2 dates have been disasters. You don't talk about this shit. There's no chemistry here, okay? And I think a lot of the reason here is that he's being, this guy Peter's being very timid. He's like being afraid. He's being afraid to let her know that he is a man. He's attracted to her, and not in a friendship way either. Like he's like attracted to her. He's afraid to do that. Why? I don't know. Maybe he has no self-esteem, or maybe he's still hurting over the loss of his wife because he's a widower. Just like Carrie's a widow. And he even brings up his dead wife again. Like, will you quit bringing that up on a date? We don't need her in the room, okay? Or on the sidewalk with them in this case. And, they're talking about how they checked that out. He's like, oh, yeah, well, you're a best-selling author. She makes, oh, that's the wrong Carrie. That's the other Carrie, just stupid stuff like that, which I guess would be cool. If this was like a first date, this wouldn't be so bad because they just met each other. But these people have already exchanged bodily fluids. Okay, not to puke. These people have already puked on each other. Okay, so they should really have no inhibitions. They've already seen each other at their worst. Okay, so they should really have no inhibitions. There shouldn't be any about like I'm trying to win over your approval. Do you like me too? I'm nervous. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. And guys, if you're watching this right now, and ladies, you already know this. Okay, if you're acting this way on a date, okay, you're turning the woman off. Okay, you're just turning her off. Okay, she doesn't want to be with a guy who's timid and afraid and unsure of himself, and doesn't really know what to do. Like that's not like that's like the woman's part to be in. She does that stuff more. She doesn't have to do that stuff, but if a guy is trying to initiate the date, if he's trying to be the man, if he's trying to lead the date, this isn't the way you do it. Okay, you don't act uncomfortable around her. If you're the one acting, she's gonna follow her lead off of you, regardless of what fucking feminists say. Okay, the bottom line is when you're on a date, she's gonna follow your lead. Okay, and if you're showing, if you're unsure of yourself, you're projecting insecurity, if you're projecting timidness, if you're projecting, oh, I'm afraid of getting rejected, I don't know what to do, then you're scaring her off. Okay, and that's what he's doing here, I think. Now he might have a legitimate reason, maybe he's still not over his wife. Like he said before, like he'd never been on a date before, but I can't understand if he started dating and this date with Carrie went so bad, why is he focusing so much on her? Now the show doesn't tell us that she's the only girl he's dating, but he sure is acting that way. Your best rejection ever. That's not fucking something a guy who dates a lot of women does. He doesn't say shit like that. Okay? He doesn't, he's not okay with going all the way over to a restaurant, getting dressed, and then, to have her tell him, no, I can't see you. That's not something that a guy that dates a lot of women does. So it sounds to me like he's putting all of his eggs in her basket. He's depending his whole sexual life right now on her. He's throwing it all on her, because he's acting that way. He might not be doing it, but like I said, who writes this show, okay? Lesbians, trans, angry feminists, and gay guys are the ones writing the show. So who do they not understand? They don't understand straight men. This is an idea of a straight man. Unfortunately, I do know guys like this, okay? But he's not a real man. He's not a, he's a guy he's not used to dating. And he's showing that, okay? And if you're not used to dating, the last thing you want to do is focus everything on a one girl, okay? And he's a professor, so he should be smart enough to realize this, okay? It's mathematical probabilities, okay? It's a numbers game. Okay, if you're not comfortable being on dates with women, the only way to get over that is to go on dates with women. Okay, but the first girl you go on a date with, you don't fucking try to fall in love with her. Okay, you don't try to get her to fall in love with you. Not the first girl you're dating since your wife died. That's not realistic. That's not reality at all. Okay, it's mathematics. It's a numbers game. You got to date lots and lots of women. Eventually, it's different for a lot of people, but eventually you'll get better at it. You'll feel more comfortable doing it. And then you won't be so timid, and then you won't be so like demanding an outcome or expecting an outcome or hoping for an outcome, in your favor. In other words, sex. Is she gonna want to fuck me? Is she gonna fuck me? Oh, I want her to fuck me. Like you won't worry about that stuff because you've got you're already going through so many women. It doesn't fucking matter what one says. It doesn't matter what 20 says. If you're dating all these different women, what the fuck does it matter? If one doesn't like you, You just go on to the next one. And you know what? The more you do that, the more confidence you get. And the more attractive you become. I know, isn't it weird? Isn't it weird? For men, like a woman who sleeps with a lot of guys is very unattractive. Sorry, ladies, it is. It is. Okay, your boyfriend ain't gonna tell you that. Your husband ain't gonna tell you that. But it's true, okay? But yeah, if a guy sleeps with a lot of women, that's very attractive. Women love that. Despite all the bullshit, I'm like, oh, he's just a cheater. Oh, God. Why do I always end up with dogs for men that just can't keep it in their pants? No, bull fucking shit. Okay? Yeah, they might have hurt your feelings, but the truth is you were attracted to him. Okay? Because he knew his way around your stuff. Okay? You know how he got that way? By practice. Okay? And it wasn't on you. Okay? All right. So, yes. Yes. Men, men that are more comfortable with women are more attractive. This guy's not comfortable with Carrie. Okay, the fact that he has to ask Carrie, I really feel like kissing you right now. Would that be okay? The fact that he has to ask that means he's already failed. Okay, if you're on a good date, a positive date, okay, that question will never need to come up. Okay, you'll never need to ask it. Okay, you'll just know. Okay, you'll just know if the chemistry's there. Okay, The fact that you need to ask it means that it didn't go well. This is like your last chance. It's like you're trying to grab a lifeboat off the Titanic to try to maybe, get some sexual chemistry going here. You didn't develop any sexual chemistry, okay? That's why you feel the need to ask, because there's none there, okay? So, because you're weak, okay? I'm not saying Carrie's strong, but, on a date, the guy should be the one leading the date, not her, So, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair for us, but that's life, right? Who said life was fair? I mean, she's a millionaire. She's got more money. She should be paying for the date. She should be taking him out. Oh, but that's sexist. The woman has to do everything. Fuck you. All right, no, it's not. He asked her out. He should pay for the date. He's not providing it. Okay, so there's no sexual tension there. So now Carrie's gonna say that's because she kissed him because it's not big, but it doesn't feel good because it's not big. Bull fucking shit. Okay. She didn't like it because this guy is not that attractive. Now I know, like in real life, I think he's married to like some famous actress or something in real life. But the character he's playing is he's limp. Sorry, he's limp. He is. There's nothing really masculine about him other than his beard. He's very passive, very wishy-washy. The fact that he didn't get upset when Carrie stood him up right there in front of him. After he got all dressed up, and then he still agreed to go on a third date with her. I mean, this guy is just there's no point to him. Okay, now what bothers me about him, besides the fact that he was portrayed this way, because like I said, it's not the way a normal straight guy would act. But there are guys like this out there, And I got to remember, I'm not trying to put him down. I mean, remember he's a widow, okay, who's clearly not ready to start dating yet. Okay, he needs to go through several women before he starts looking for, wife number 2. Okay. And he ain't there yet. Okay. So it's not all his fault. He's still dealing with emotional baggage from the death of his wife. Okay. But, what bothers me more than how he acts around Carrie, is that he's, he serves very little purpose on the show. Like you remember in the old school Sex and the City, a guy would show up, one of the girls would fuck him, then she'd find something wrong with him before the end of the episode, then she'd dump him, and then the next episode was rinse and repeat, right? That's basically what they did for the first 3 years, okay? You find a guy, you like the guy, you fuck the guy, you find something wrong with the guy, get rid of the guy, okay? That's what happened. Okay, well, that's what this guy was, okay? They could have done this guy in one episode, okay? But they dragged it. And for no reason, just to find out that Carrie didn't like him. He's a nice enough guy, but Carrie wasn't attracted to him. She ain't going to say that, but that's the truth. She wasn't attracted to him. Hell, I wasn't attracted to him. And I'm not even gay. This guy's just like, he's too wishy-washy. When I lost respect for him was when he said, "Hey, Carrie, best rejection ever." When he said that, I lost all respect for him. I was like, okay, this guy's a pussy. This guy's a fucking pussy. He's going to let women walk all over him. He has no self-respect. No self-respect. Just like Steve, no self-respect. So I didn't really care what happened to him, but he shouldn't have been on the show because he served no real purpose. Okay, you could have done him in one episode. He'd have to show up for like 3 or 4 episodes. They could have just had him there, do it in one episode. Carrie realized that she's not ready yet, and that would have been it. They didn't have to do the puke jokes. She didn't have to stand him up. None of that stuff. They could have done a whole episode where she dates him. It would have been an old school Sex and the City episode. She dates him. Doesn't have to have sex with him, But she dates him. She tries to connect with him, but he's dealing with his loss. She's dealing with her. She realizes she can't. Boom. That's it. That's done. His whole character arc is resolved in one episode. That's how it should have been. Instead, they dragged it off and for no payoff. Nothing happened. He had no reason to be there. Okay. So that's Peter. Okay, moving along. Smoking. Okay, so she calls Seema and lets Seema know how the date went. It didn't go very well. Seema's smoking and she's sleeping with Zed. That's his name. Zed is, I guess, the Ukrainian or Russian guy or French guy who owns the hottest nightclub in Brooklyn. Him, okay? Well, I called it last episode. She's sleeping with him, okay? And I already told you why it's unrealistic, okay? She's 54 years old, just turned 54. I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't look 54. He owns the hottest nightclub. He would not be sleeping with her, okay? If he is sleeping with her, it's going to be like, for a couple of hours, and then she's got to go, okay? Instead, what we got is they're at a hotel. They're at a hotel, And I guess they went on like a 3-day sex bender. They just stayed in the hotel and ordered room service and just had sex for 3 days. Hey, I don't know how you get away with that. I mean, I've had benders too, okay, but they haven't been 3 days, okay. They've been like a day, day and a half, maybe. When your girlfriend comes in from out of town, they just stay with you. They just say, "Fuck it, we're just staying inside." We're ordering pizza. We're watching, we're watching, Black Mirror. Whatever. you know, we're gonna watch some fucking some Netflix or whatever, whatever. Fucking one day at a time. you just go downstairs and pay the guy and fucking. We're gonna eat in bed, Yeah, we've done. I think we all have done that shit, but not for 3 days. Okay, but they're in a hotel, so they got money, obviously. And he's been sleeping with her for 3 days. And of course, Seema can't really talk to Carrie because she's with this guy here, and Carrie realized, oh my God, is there a guy there? Oh, well, sorry, I called. That kind of thing. And of course, she's smoking cigarettes like crazy. Seema is. Okay, so she's upset that Seema wants to get laid. She's upset that Seema's getting laid instead of talking to her. Because remember, it's always about Carrie. When she talks to people, they have to talk to Carrie about Carrie. It's always about Carrie. What's going on in Carrie's life? That's the important thing. Now, last episode we said I already told you about Seema. Okay, how I feel sorry for her. She's very lonely. I do believe she would sleep with this guy. Yes, that's completely 100% believable to me that she would sleep with this guy, Zed. Okay, he drives a Porsche, he's rich, he owns the hottest nightclub. Remember, he got them all in last episode at the end. They all cut to the front of the line because he owns the club. But like I said before, and ladies, you want to get pissed off at me? I don't give a shit. I'm telling you the truth. This is a straight man's opinion, okay, and I don't lie here, okay. It might be right about everything, okay, but the guys that are watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, okay. A woman like Seema, yes, would this guy fuck her? Absolutely. Absolutely he would, if he wanted to. But would he spend 3 days with her locked up in a hotel room? Fuck no. No. A guy like this who owns a nightclub like that, he's got responsibilities, okay? He can't afford to just be locked up in a hotel room for 3 days, just fucking all the time, okay? Maybe if he was on vacation or something, which he might be, I don't know, but why would he be on vacation in New York? He lives there. You go to vacation to the Bahamas, okay, or you go to Paris, because that's the chick flick capital of the world, Paris. Even here in this show, it's still the chick flick capital of the world, Paris. It's such a cliche. All the rom coms, you gotta go to Paris. Who the fuck, fuck Paris. Okay, would he have sex with her? Yes. Would he spend 3 days with her? I'm raising the bullshit flag. No, he probably wouldn't. Like I said, this guy has a high sexual market value. Okay, he owns the hottest nightclub. Okay, girls are gonna fuck him just so that. I mean, just think about it. Just the line of underage girls. By underage, I mean like 18, 19. Okay, not teenagers. The line of underage girls that are willing to fuck him just so they can get in the club. Okay, is probably around the block. A line around the block. Okay, so this guy has no problem getting laid. So why would he spend 3 days with Seema? What's so special about her? Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, she's an interesting character. Don't get me wrong. I like Seema. I do. Although she smokes too much. I like her, But I mean, she dresses like, like an older woman with lots of money who's afraid to get old. The clothes that she wears. I'm a guy. I don't fucking know what she's wearing. Okay, like I said, I don't follow fashion. Fashion is controlled by old white ladies like Seema and gay guys. They control the fashion industry. So I couldn't tell you what she's wearing or what brand it is or where you get it or anything. But she dresses very nice, and she spends a lot of her time on that. But guys don't really give a shit what she's wearing, So like straight guys, they don't really give a shit what she's wearing. A guy like Zed he might have sex with her, but I don't think he would be serious about her. I don't think he would spend 3 days with her. I mean, just 3 days with her. I mean, is she funny or something? Is there something about her personality that he loves so much? Because I've met girls with incredible personalities that, oh God, I like being around you. Like, I want to hang out with you some more. You're cool. Like, not just cool like to have sex with, but you're cool to talk to. Like, you're fun. I've hung out with girls like that, but I didn't lock myself up for 3 days with them, So I don't know. Well, I guess I have, but they were younger and better looking. I'm sorry, they were. Okay, but I was younger, better looking too. You know what the fuck. So it all depends. But I don't believe a guy that does that for a living. Who owns his own the hottest nightclub in Brooklyn is not going to take SEMA seriously. I'm sorry, but he's not. He's not. So I didn't really buy that he was all into her. And we don't know enough about him to know what he likes about her. We don't know enough about SEMA to know what he likes about her. She acts like a boss, okay. But I mean, did she make him laugh? Did she do anything that really turned? We don't know because we don't know anything about him. We saw him there flirting with her, and now we see him again, and he's spent 3 days fucking her. Okay. All right, so this is going to conclude part 1 of my review. I will be back in part 2, and we will keep this thing going. Thank you for watching.